Hello. Let's make sure this is working. It's been a while since I streamed like a whole week. Maybe more? I think I streamed Monday. Feels like it's been a lot longer. How do I. Alright, I think it's working. Perfect. I'll wait a few moments here and then I'll start. Let me pull up my notes. Nice copium title. Hey, Truman. It's not copium, actually. Maybe it is. A little bit. Just a little. But spoiler alert, it's not going to be gameplay related because we're not winning. I just watched T1 play. I watched NG play. I watched BLG and TES play. Yeah. I don't think we're going to win gameplay wise, but there are other opportunities for us to win. How do we get Jensen to do that? Well, I can make a bit about that. I mean, DDoS is honestly, unless we DDoS them during the game, I don't think we win. Maybe even if we DDoS them during the game, we probably still lose. It's not close. I mean, FlyQuest playing against BLG. Have you seen Elkanon? They're insane. Like they're probably the best performing bot lane in the world. They're really good. Jensen is NA. We can use his powers to hit them offline. Man, I mean, Jensen used to DDoS. Allegedly, he got banned for that for his toxicity. So maybe he still has that incarnation in him. But I remember when he got unbanned, it was a huge deal. Yeah, it was. And then he joined Cloud9 and played like a 55-minute banger against TSM and barely won. I was so upset. It was a game that was like illegal for TSM to lose. But they lost. All right, I'll just go ahead and get started then. Yeah, MSI is coming up pretty close, like 3 weeks from now or something like that. Obviously, there's the play-ins and then the group stage, and if we just assume that everything happens the way it's supposed to be, we're going to have 2 teams from each of the 4 major regions. And this year specifically is an opportunity for North America that normally we always had, we just never were in a position to utilize it. And what I mean by that is every year going into MSI, there's a lot of like negative talk about NA and how we're not going to do anything, which is not wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the narratives coming in this year any different, right? We are heavily the underdogs, and if we beat one team, that would be amazing. This year, we're going to have an opportunity to play. We won't have team kill because if you're in the same region, you can't play in the same side of the bracket, which is a new rule that Riot implemented. I'm very happy that they did that. I think MSI this year is the best international tournament we've ever had. I think last year's MSI was the best, and this year should be better, just because they added more rules and hopefully they modify worlds as well. But this year we have a very specific opportunity because this year really has been the rise of like grassroots, people making content about the LCS. And that's something we haven't had in a while. We've always had like co-streamers, don't get me wrong, but actual people making a bunch of content has been very, very rare. Just look at like the interview side of things. We have so many more interviews. Even people who, like Raz, for example, was telling me that earlier, like 2 years ago or something, there were maybe Travis and maybe Degon, and that was it, right? People in the media room. These days, he said it's always packed. There's so many people. Ashley King is doing LCS stuff. You have myself. You have Shibby is doing a bunch of stuff. There's Jay Silvers who's doing stuff. There's obviously Travis who's doing a little bit less, but then you have Degon who's also doing. You have Sheep Esports that are doing interviews. The content around North America and being able to advertise that kind of stuff has increased. And that's just from one aspect. In terms of teams making content, I think the two teams that we sent, I think Team Liquid had some of the best content. And they've shifted their focus onto making content. I still think they're not taking their content and utilizing it. They're posting it on YouTube, but they're not chopping it up. They're not advertising it in the ways that they should be doing on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, and whatnot. But they're still doing something. I think Dignitas has some pretty good content, and they're still posting and publishing. Um, and I think that FlyQuest has really figured out like their sort of Twitter game. The teams that we're sending have a good idea on what they how they want to advertise themselves. And I think this is the time where, especially when Inspired, the reason I say we have an opportunity is because the whole Inspired ordeal and Team Liquid, like there was a lot of drama and trash talk. And I think it's a very easy, regardless of whether we win or lose, which eventually we're going to lose. I don't think we're going to get the cup or even make it to the finals. But the fact that there's so much narrative and there's so much storytelling, and there are people that are telling these stories, which is different than most years. Most years you don't have that happening, and so you don't have going into MSI, it's just like, hey, NA fans are going to watch North America play, and that's it. And obviously, we didn't get NA versus EU last year, but we have that sort of title of like, oh, NA better than EU. We have the idea of like these teams that we're sending have a lot of North American talent. We have all these stories, and we have the storytellers. We have people like David, and we have people like myself. We have people like even Travis Gafford, whether it's Hotline League or whatnot. We have so many content creators that are talking about North America that are also popular outside of North America, which is quite rare. I Will Dominate has always been there. Obviously, Kadrill has started co-streaming the LCS, which is new, right? We have Kelsey Moser, who used to be a coach, and now she's making more content. She has her making the rounds. She has her own audience. You have even Summoning Insight and all the podcasts that go around, like That Last Free Nation. There is a lot of opportunity to make good content um, around MSI. And I think that teams, regardless of whether they're competing or not, need to use this time to say, hey, we're all bandwagoning the North America. Like we're all part of NA. We're all cheering for NA. NA better than EU. And these are the reasons you should watch our league. These are the cool things. These are the cool, people that exist. Um, there are a lot of professional players that are boot camping, and I think in Korea, obviously, and I think it's an opportunity for the teams to use their players because the players are going to be watching the games anyways, right? It's not just us that are going to be watching and reacting to the games. It would be really cool for Dignitas or for who else did I make it? Cloud9. I think Cloud9 with their podcast could really do some good work. Where they post their reactions on TikTok. They ask Blabber like, "What did you think of this invade?" That kind of stuff. Like maybe just reacting themselves watching the games. We all seen the K-Drill clips of him just split screen him on top and the gameplay on the bottom and just like reacting to it, right? And that does a lot. And the reason you do that is because you want people to see them, right? Out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. You don't want people to be out of mind. I think this year there's so much North American content that could easily cross pollinate with all these other regions, with people who watch EU, with people who watch LCK and LPL, and that doesn't necessarily have to mean that they're Europeans or Koreans or whatnot. The only way we win MSI is LCK eliminate each other. Um, Wayne's World. Yeah, the title's a little bit of a clickbait, but we're going to win by really utilizing this year to pop up our fan base, right? To create new fans of the LCS. We're sending two very likable teams. Just yeah, Team Liquid, I will argue aren't very likable, but it is what it is. Yeah, so it's more from a content creation standpoint than an actual gameplay standpoint. I don't think we have a chance. I watched BLG and TES, and then I watched Hanwha Life play T1, and yeah, I don't think there's much hope for us. I think we can maybe like take a game or two off, but probably not win the games. Um, Like a best of 5 series, fair point, viewership increase is a win. You see how Brazil has such a exactly, Brazil all rallies about, around Loud or Pain or whichever, team they're sending, and that's something that North America doesn't necessarily do, and I think that it's a very good opportunity for us to get all these people who don't necessarily watch day-to-day gameplay, but they don't watch the LCS because LCS is boring, but they'll watch Worlds, they'll watch MSI. There are many players who many fans who North American people, like I know them from my own personal experience, who will watch the big tournaments but won't necessarily watch smaller leagues. And this is a time where you can take your players, you can show off personality, you can show why this league is so fun and get or why these teams are fun, why you would want to be a fan of that team or watch them play. I am not an advocate of like, hey, let's get LCS fans. As much as I say it, I'm not really an advocate of LCS fans. I'm an advocate of teams having fans. So I would love for, like, if you're a Team Liquid fan, I see no reason or no obligation for you to watch every single LCS game. You watch Team Liquid games, and that's it. And then it's the duty of these other teams to show you, hey, we had a really cool game. You should probably watch it too, right? Or we have a really hype matchup. Like if you're a Team Liquid fan and Cloud9's playing FlyQuest, sure, you're gonna watch it because it's a hype game, right? It's the same thing in basketball. I only watch TSM games. Exactly. Well, TSM's gone. I'm assuming you want to say I only watched TSM games, but yeah, if you're only watching TSM games, like that's totally fine, and that's sort of how it should be, in my opinion. Is like if a team, yeah, if a team speaks to you, if a team has done a good enough job to get you as a fan, why does the LCS think that you have to then watch all the other games? I don't think that's the case. I think you should. It's sort of like Optic with Call of Duty. A lot of people are Optic fans. They're not necessarily, fans of these other teams. They just really like the players and the personalities and the branding and whatnot. And I think League of Legends should be the same. And for the longest time, we've had this thing where it's like you should be a fan of all the teams, and this is why you should watch every single game. And what in a 4-hour broadcast, if you're only looking at like the peak viewership, well, the peak viewership is going to be the teams that actually people want to watch, right? Peak viewership happened in a game between Cloud9 and Shopify, but that wasn't for because of Shopify. Regardless, this is the opportunity for Cloud9 to get a bunch of Cloud9 fans. And you might think, oh, well, Cloud9 isn't going to MSI. Yes, but interesting take, Numer. Yeah, it's more content creation related than actual gameplay. Which team? Any team. Like even the teams that haven't made it to MSI have a very big opportunity where there's a lot of focus on North America because Team Liquid and FlyQuest have an interesting storyline and have been doing a relatively good job at sort of showing off that storyline. I think Team Liquid has done a lot of great content around their team and showing off the personality of the players and whatnot. I think that's really cool that it could vibe to someone who doesn't even play. Oh, didn't actually winning the tournament? No, we're not winning the tournament. I would love to see a team do well. Are we going to win? I mean, I'm realistic. We're not winning the game. We're not winning the tournament. Um, but I think that even teams like Cloud9 or Shopify who aren't there have a great opportunity to get fans to make fans, right? Because all you have to do is engage with the gameplay, even if it's not NA versus EU, even if it's like LCK versus LPL, and you have a really cool clip of Blabber explaining how Jun is like out jungled Zeus for not Zeus, Owner, for example. That could do very well to making people, become Blabber fans or want to watch Cloud9 because they're like, oh, who's this jungler that is talking about Jun or like the way he understands it, the way he understands the game. Now, all of a sudden, I have a reason to connect with Cloud9 and want to see them do well because I want to see Blabber play against Owner or whatnot. I'm worried that the only two teams that will take advantage of this time are FlyQuest and Team Liquid. Um, I think that by proxy, 100 Thieves are going to get good viewership via what's his name? Um, David and Shopify via myself. Uh, what's funny was making LCS live patch in a regular season doesn't even benefit teams. I think it. Um, I don't know if it. I'm sure it benefited some teams. Like it benefited whoever was playing against NRG, right? NRG was like a big data kind of team, and they didn't have big data anymore to use, and they talked about it privately and publicly to people about how that's affected them. Even playoffs are exactly the same and finish early, so they always behind patches. For playoffs, yeah, as usual, but I do think it made a difference. I don't know how big of a difference it did, but if Shopify is playing against NRG and NRG doesn't have as much data as they could have used, and that affects how they come in other regions. Oh, to other regions. Yeah, I don't think it. I mean, I think it's a cool little quirk that we have that doesn't necessarily give us a gameplay advantage. Um, but it's just like it's different and it's not bad, right? I don't think it's gonna make us better players, but it's cool in my opinion. It also made games a little more exciting because we didn't it wasn't a copy of whatever LCK was playing. We were playing stuff before them, right? Would Team Liquid have let APA play Aurelion, Soul, and Ziggs so much if they could just watch whatever LCK was doing? Maybe not, right? Maybe they're like, hey, just play whatever other people are playing. I don't know. I don't know those um, details, but yeah, I worry that the only two teams that are really going to take advantage of MSI are Team Liquid and FlyQuest, and even then, I don't know that they're going to take enough advantage. And I heavily urge all the content creators, whether it's Kelsey Moser, whether it's whoever's making content, like I think a lot of people are broad and not just LCS based, but Travis Gafford, myself, David, all of these people who are making content around the LCS, even if your team isn't there, it's a great opportunity to bring fans and to show reactions and to yeah, to show up, right? Because you want to see people. One of the big things of Optic back in, like, I don't know, the 2010s was like the green wall. You would go anywhere and you would see like a line of fans all wearing these green jerseys because they're Optic fans. And if you've never heard of Optic before, well, guess what? You see people, you're going to tell like, oh, Optic is a big team because they have a lot of fans. And I think that's one thing that we should be flooding, social media, whether it's Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, with like, this is North America. This is how Shopify players are reacting to, what's happening at MSI. This is their opinions on what's going on. This is how they can maybe appreciate the game in a way that you don't, and all of a sudden now you have a new appreciation of the game. And because you have a new appreciation of like certain plays or what happened or stories of players that you didn't know about, like it'd be cool if Dignitas had stories of scrims against Team Liquid after Team Liquid shows something and say, oh yeah, in scrims they did this one time and that's what they tried to do and didn't work, or it worked, and that's really cool that they worked on that kind of stuff. All of these things will really benefit North America as a whole, and the teams as well. Like I really think that this year, with the amount of focus that there's going to be on this MSI, especially it's going to be the best tournament we've ever had. Right? I don't think we've ever had a single Riot run, tournament past 2013 that's going to be better than this MSI in terms of format and probably in terms of hype. I think that it's a huge opportunity, and I want to see teams win. I want to see Cloud9 come back with like a huge boost of fans. I want to see, FlyQuest doubling their viewership because all of a sudden now you have a huge European fan base that you didn't before because Inspired, is publicly outside, and you're able to remind European players, hey, look at Inspired. He's really cool. You want to watch him play, even if he left EU. If they're live patch in playoffs and finished closer to MSI, stage experience closer to the live patch of MSI, yeah, that is an advantage that they could have had. I don't think that'll make a difference between us winning or losing Numer, but it's an opportunity for sure. But now the games they played 14-5 3 patches ago, APA got away with winning, not having the ban pick. Yeah, the Azir thing was a really big. 14-6 Azir was back. A huge deal. Yeah, I agree. So APA will get clapped by every international mid laner. Maybe he will make content about shit talking them in all chat. To your point, yeah, I don't necessarily think we have to focus on the gameplay points. Look, if we do great in gameplay, like let's say we upset T1, right? Whoever it is, Team Liquid or FlyQuest, they upset T1. You know that we're going to make so much content about it. Just like how when NRG upset G2, everyone's still talking about it, which is great. There were so many TikToks, so many memes, so many like people on Twitter and YouTube talking about it, which is awesome, right? But like, are we going to go into every single tournament expecting something like that to happen? Not really. Otherwise, it won't be big talk. EG upset T1 and nothing happened? Yeah, but it was one game. It wasn't like we made it to groups or something 2 years ago. Yeah, in 2022. Also, that EG, didn't they go 1 and 5? No, we beat G2 one game as well. So it was like 2 and 4. So it wasn't the upset didn't mean anything, which is kind of why beating G2 was big. Like, I'm pretty sure NRG beat Mad and no one said anything. But it was more because everyone's beating Mad. So yeah, I think there's a time and place. Also, I think that EG team was the one with Carrie instead of Danny, and like there was already a lot of shady stuff happening with that EG. So I think there was a lot of reasons why that happened. But like people were talking about it when EG beat Mad and knocked them out of like 3-0, right? That was a very like arrogant strategy that they went with. They just gave Unforgiven all of his best champions, and they were like, huh, you can't win with Draven, then we're just gonna not ban it. Danny was there. Oh, for MSI. Did they beat T1 for MSI? I don't remember that. But yeah, he wasn't there for Worlds. Um, and hey, if people weren't talking about it, then I think EG did a bad job at their social media strategy. And I think the people who were making content should have talked about why this win is meaningful. The thing is, I think it probably wasn't meaningful, and that's why no one really cared. Like T1 still finished first in the group in MSI, but lost every game to G2. Yeah, oh my god, didn't we lose like 8 games that MSI? It was crazy. We had to play them like 100 times. That was one of the lesser cool MSIs. Like this MSI is going to be really, really cool. And I really hope that teams will utilize this opportunity, even if it's like, every other day, 30-second clip of you just having a player send you something. It doesn't have to be high quality. This other thing of like, oh, it has to be shot with like a cameraman and a producer and a post producer, and it has to be approved and this and that. Like, dude, just have a player react to something and then move on. Have a player talk about something straight off the top of the dome and move on with your life. Let people see your players interacting with MSI. Just because they're not at MSI, people shouldn't stop thinking about Blabber. It is double Ilium. It's double Elim, and there's no team kill up until like the very end. So like when you're putting the brackets, how last year we had EU have to kill off EU, and then NA had to kill off NA. We won't have that problem anymore. More likely NA to upset, but less likely for them to win. Oh yeah, because it's double Elim. If it was single Elim, it wouldn't. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I don't really care whether we win, we lose, regardless of what we do. I just want us to be there to show up for people to see North America and for people to see these teams and want to be a fan, or have some reason to like be more interested in the team. Like if Shopify is making content of like, Tomio, who's a very funny person, just memeing a bunch of stuff that happens in um in MSI, right? Like let's say Team Liquid win and he's memeing against, like they beat EU, he's memeing against EU, or he's memeing against NA because they lost, or whatever it is, right? He's just memeing something. That will get you people who hate Shopify, which is a good thing to have because they're gonna hate watch, right? Or you have people who are like, oh my god, this guy's super funny, I'm gonna follow him, and then all of a sudden you start watching more Shopify stuff, or you're just more aware of Shopify now. So the next time you see the LCS stream on and you see like Shopify versus whatever, you're like, oh yeah, Shopify. Um, it's really not that big of an investment considering how big the opportunity is. And the reason I say that we will win, or how we will win MSI, is because in terms of viewership, leagues are not that big if you think about it. Like the amount of people that will watch that have not watched you is not that big. So if you're an LCS team, right, the amount of people that are going to be watching you on a day-to-day basis are people who are already familiar with you. They're returning fans or fans of other teams. They already know about Cloud9. But when you're going into an international play, you are bringing huge audiences of people who don't even care about you, right? They might know you exist, but they don't even watch the LCS. They don't even watch your games. And it's just such a big market. It's such a easily tappable market. And what I mean by tappable is like there are people who play League of Legends that don't even know that pro play exists or don't care. They don't watch it, they only play it. There are people who watch streamers and they know that pro play exists because their streamers talk about it, but they don't have a team that they like. They just kind of watch whatever the streamer, watches. And if the streamer talks about a game, they'll watch that game or whatever. And then there are people who watch different leagues that don't even care about your league. And being able to get all those people, right, that actually have some sort of interaction with professional League of Legends in one place and being able to tap that market, you already know that everyone that's watching has a affinity for professional League of Legends. You're not going to the players that don't watch League of Legends. You're not going to people who don't play League of Legends. You're not going to random people, right? You're not going to a random person on the street who's like, "Hey, if you played League of Legends, oh, I played it one time back in third grade." Like you're going to people who already have interactions with professional League of Legends. You have a curated selection. If you've ever done Facebook ads before, what you used to be able to do is you could be very, very, I mean, you can still do this, but you could be very specific who you wanted to advertise to. Like it could be, 29 to 32 female, mothers in the city of like Salisbury or whatever. You could be very hyper specific within a radius of this. You are getting a very, very specific curated League of Legends fans, professional League of Legends fans that you can advertise to. And I think it's almost sinful for you not to take this opportunity um, to advertise to these people, to be in front of these people, to show them that that your team exists, first of all, and second of all, that there's a reason you should like this player, whether it's personality, like his cockiness, his gameplay, whatever it is. Maybe the way he laughs, it's like speaks to you. I don't know, but there's so much opportunity, and it's so cheap because you don't have to pay for the curating. It already happened. The tournament already does that, and guess what? Like organic content is pretty cheap. You don't have to pay much money for you to post on TikTok, right? It's free. You just have to like obviously you're hiring someone to do that, but the act of posting is free. It's not like a newspaper where you have to hire someone to make an ad and then pay someone the newspaper to put it out there, and whether it works or not, it's such a good opportunity that it's honestly shameful how little a lot of teams do around MSI and Worlds, especially since the viewership of MSI and Worlds keeps growing. That tells you that people are interested in professional League of Legends, and you should tap that market because they're being handpicked, hand curated for you on a silver platter. Like, take advantage of it. Um, Majority of people just watch NA through Cadral in EU. I don't think it's the majority of people, but it was a big portion. I looked at the numbers not too long ago. I don't get how you think C9 will benefit when they aren't going and it's in China. I must have missed it. All right, I'll repeat. But basically, it's like you have this opportunity of a bunch of fans who might not be Cloud9 fans, don't care about Cloud9 watching. They don't care about NA. Just because the team isn't there, you can have Cloud9 appear, whether it's on TikTok, like talking about the games. Hey, this reminds me of one game that I played against, Blabber might be saying, this is a game I played against Inspired. Inspired does this all the time. All of a sudden, because people are seeing Cloud9, the next time that Cloud9 pops up might be their YouTube channel or might be when they're playing LCS. That will create fans directly or indirectly. And one thing, I think one hard thing about LCS is that people actually like when the same team is winning all the time because it's easier to talk about bandwagon behind one name at a time. I agree, but that's if you're a general League of Legends LCS fan. If you're a Cloud9 fan, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. Like I have a friend who's a Cloud9 fan since 2015. They hadn't won from they last time they had won was 2014 spring, and they didn't win until 2020, and he was like a fan the entire time. But when a different team with different players win all the time, it is hard to. It is like when Golden State Warriors won or went to 5 finals in a row and built that dynasty. It was so easy for people to be Warriors fans. But like I was a fan before that happened, and like I never seen another Warriors fan here in Maryland. But as soon as like they started winning, oh my God, there's Warrior fans left and right. Hey Mega, happy weekend. Same to you. Faker T1, Caps G2, so easy to bandwagon. Bjergsen TSM, Doublelift TSM and TL. I think Doublelift was more CLG, but I guess yeah, he did play for a very long time on TSM and TL. That's why I thought even Jan is equivalent in gameplay, perhaps. Doublelift rejoining TL and winning Worlds. Oh, winning would have been the biggest viewership of LCS, but it was missed. Yeah, but again, I think those people are still watching the LCS just through Doublelift stream, right? I don't think that it takes away from Team Liquid fans. It just doesn't take away from LCS fans. The type you're describing is more hardcore fan, but casual fans that would grow viewership, you need the normies. Well, with international events, a lot of times it's the normies that are watching that are making up the difference, right? People don't watch year round. People don't watch multiple leagues. Like there are, but I think the normies would play League of Legends. There's a big tournament, they're gonna watch it, right? And at least I can think of a couple example of people I know that are like that. Side question: what was your favorite player interview you did this split? It was with Whippo, probably. Um, I thought that interview was really insightful for myself, and he just kept going on, and it went above time, and I was like, "Okay, sorry, we have to stop." And then he was like, no, I want to keep going. I'll just, I'll tell them it was my fault." Especially if you have winning on TL. Yeah, he finally won on CLG, but majority of success was 2016 TSM. Yes, I agree. Most of his success was on TSM and Team Liquid. I remember that one. Yeah, it was a fun interview. Um, but yeah, for normies, like there are probably people who just play League of Legends, maybe watch a streamer, right? And they don't necessarily care about League of Legends until these big tournaments, because that's when you can kind of easily watch something for like a couple weeks and it's done. And I think that's why we see these viewerships. It's like, oh yeah, T1, I know about them, or like BLG who are playing. They're China, and I happen to be Chinese American, so I'm gonna watch it because they're from China, and everyone around me is cheering for them. Um, and that's why I think like normies will pay more attention to professional League of Legends during tournaments, like MSI and Worlds, and we know that to be true because of the viewership increases of like MSI has more viewership than the LCK, the LPL, like any other league, right? And it's not just a combination of these people. It's not like everybody who watches LCS is going to watch MSI. It's not like everybody who watches EU. There's cross pollination, obviously, but there are different populations, and there's a lot of people who might not watch League of Legends very often, but when a big event happens, like for example, Worlds is going to be in London, it's going to be in EU, and when it does happen, a lot of people in the UK are just going to watch the games. They're going to go because it's there. It's a big event. Same thing what happened here when I have a couple of friends who went to Worlds who don't really play League of Legends anymore, but they started playing again. They started watching because it was there and it was right next to them, and so they went. Last year it didn't spark because he didn't do too well. Oh, I think just double if playing plus doing well would help viewership. There would be a lot more people if he made it to MSI. I agree, but that's just because he already has a fan base, right? I think that I think another that's like one solution. I think another solution would be like teams build more players. Like what Doublelift did over his like 15-year career, right? Teams can do it. Not so hot take. Live patch is the key to growing the sport long term, and we saw that the split. I don't think it's the key to growing the sport. I think it's cool. It could help for sure. I don't think it's the key. I think the key is like much better advertisement. Like hire a CMO, hire a chief marketing officer, and market the LCS. And teams need to do the same. The only team that has a chance to utilize fanbase is Cloud9. They also have to build it up from scratch. Yeah. And I think that MSI is a huge opportunity to build that up because there's so many people who don't know about Shopify or don't care about Shopify. But it's such an awesome opportunity for Shopify to appear in front of these people and say, "We are Shopify." Like, have Boogie talk about when he used to play for the PCS team or his experiences playing with Maple, for example, because I think PSG won, right? Fly does an okay job so far. I agree. I think Fly is doing a very good job, at least on Twitter. I think their YouTube channel needs some work for sure. They could do better. Agreed. Team Liquid probably does a little bit better on YouTube, but does not do very well on Twitter, in my opinion. I think that there needs to be more emphasis on social media. Whether you hire an agency and have them do that kind of stuff, but your players need to be reacting and need to be talking about MSI because everybody that you want to be a fan, like these high value fans, are all going to be watching MSI. And this is your opportunity to take this like super created curation of fans and make them into people who care about your team. Okay, what's your take on how LCS will win MSI? My take is the LCS will win MSI by the teams doing a very good job at marketing themselves to people who are watching MSI. And even though it's a, BLG versus Gen G final, for example, there would be so many North American teams reacting and talking about it that by the end of the tournament, you're going to be waiting to see what Wild Turtle has to say about how or like how Elk and On played that bottom lane dive against Gen G or whatnot. And it'll be more of like we will have a content win. This is how we are going to win in terms of content, in terms of like being on top of people's minds. Because when you think of like reaction, like if I want to watch if I miss a BLG game, for example, I know that when I open YouTube, I will dominate video being like reacting to the games, and I can just watch that, right? Because I don't want to just watch the highlights, because sometimes they miss stuff. So I know that I will be able to watch that. And I think that once the game finishes, a lot of times people wait for like certain people to react. Like if you have a podcaster that you listen to all the time, you will actually want you'll be waiting for him the next day to react to what happened at the finals or whatnot. For example, Last Free Nation, like what is it called? Summoning Insight. Like some people will wait for that to react to what happened. I think it's the same thing. You want to create a fan base of people who are like expecting to hear from you on your thoughts on MSI because you're adding entertainment or you're adding some sort of educational value or you're adding a personality wise that people just enjoy. Whatever it is, you're adding something that people want. And this is a great opportunity because a lot of people will be wanting, because MSI is such a cool tournament. It is the best tournament we've ever had from Riot. And so teams need to take very teams need to utilize this very, very well. Yes, Steve, you finally taste the trophy again. Does it feel good in a studio to get the big crowds? You need the fans. Yeah, exactly. We need to build fans, and we have such a great opportunity. I keep saying this, but we have such a great opportunity with people who are watching MSI to make them fans of Team Liquid. Hopefully now he sees that. I like this take. Thank you, Mega. The type of content would be fan service for fans like us, but I don't know how it would garner the normie fans, to be honest. I mean, if you see someone that you've never seen before reacting to what happened at MSI, maybe you missed that game and you didn't even know there was a cool play that, Maple did against BLG, or no, BLG, or whatever, TES. It's not just about like this is the moment someone becomes a fan. A lot of time people become fans because they've seen you so many different times on their TikTok or YouTube. It's about repetitive like exposure. So another type of like you always see like sponsors, right, on big YouTube channels, and there are different types of sponsorships. One of them is like, hey, we have this code and we want you to say, use my code for 15% off of whatever. And that is one type of sponsorship. Another type of sponsorship is like we want people to just hear our name, because at some point they're going to see us because we're everywhere. And studies have shown that if you just heard that name and then you go to a store and you're about to buy a drink, for example, because you've heard that name multiple times, subconsciously you're more likely pick that drink, for example, instead of something else because you just heard of it all the time. Like Shopify, exactly. Shopify, when someone comes to make their own website, they're subconsciously they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to use Shopify. After they Google, hey, make my own website, they're going to see like a Fiverr, and they're going to see like this. You do it yourself in Shopify. They already have an affinity to Shopify, even if they don't like them, because they've heard of Shopify so many times. And so there are different ways of gaining fandom, right? And one of them is like, hey, this person's personality is super cool, and maybe I vibe with his personality, and that's why I'm going to watch him, even though normally I don't watch professional League of Legends. But hey, I really think Jan is really cool, and he's like so brazen and humble at the same time. Like I find that really cool. And it could be like I've seen Team Liquid on my timeline after every single game, or I've seen like Cloud9 talking about the MSI after every game, and breaking stuff down. I wasn't really interested, but now I kind of want to hear what this blabber dude has to blabber about, right? And that could be another way. So there's multiple ways of doing it, and it's like not the easiest thing to track, but it's proven to work. Like you can over a long period of time, you can always see its effects, but you can't really necessarily, unless something blows up, it's very difficult for you to point at one specific post, one specific like thing, and be like, "This is the reason we converted 60,000 fans or like 600 fans." Um, Win-win regardless of results. Exactly, Mega. I don't. If we win a big game, like we upset someone like a BLG or a T1, it'll be awesome because we will have so many people talking about that game, and you'll be able to add a lot of context. And a video of Cloud9 being super happy and cheering for, um, Team Liquid or Jojo Pune reacting and being like to APA's play will make people like Cloud9 and become and maybe watch their games that maybe they wouldn't have, or maybe they had a bad idea of Cloud9, didn't like Cloud9, but then they saw that video and all of a sudden they had a change of heart because it's a cool gesture, right? Things like that. It may pull some EU hard cans, but not normies. I don't think so. I think it'll affect normies, Nomer. Do you think there's more normal players or ranked players watching international events? I don't know, and I don't think it matters because they're watching it anyways, right? I think a different time of a year you might care, but at this specific moment, you have like 500,000 people watching a game, Team One versus BLG. You want to be able to tap into those 500,000 people, and guess what? Those 500,000 people are not all Cloud9 fans, right? Chances are the majority of those people don't even care what Cloud9 does or what Shopify does or what Dignitas does. And the fact that you have the opportunity to tap into those fans because you already know that they watch international play. They watch professional League of Legends. You know that for a fact. You want to tap into that market. And you want to tap into the people who might care and may have missed that game. And all of a sudden you're providing context for them and letting them know why that game was cool through yourself. And that's the whole idea of like reaction podcasts, of like people who have podcasts about the NBA, for example, is like you want to know their thoughts on the game because it adds something to your entertainment value. Um, who's someone who does like Draymond Green has his own Draymond Green show, right? And you can watch the Warriors games, but when you hear Draymond talk about it from his perspective, it adds something and it makes it cool. And sometimes he talks about games I didn't watch. And all of a sudden, I have an appreciation for a player that I never did before because he talked about something he did that I didn't even get a chance to watch that game, right? I didn't even know it was a big game. I didn't know Pelicans were playing well. Like, I didn't care, right? I only know that we played them and we lost. That's all I know. Um, so there definitely is opportunity to create fandom. It's such a big opportunity, especially because I will repeat, this MSI is going to be the best international tournament Riot has ever made. The format is amazing. The teams going are like we already know 3 teams from the East. We're missing one more, right? Probably TES if I had to guess, but who knows? It might be JDG. Either way, we're gonna have a really, really cool tournament with a really cool format, with really cool teams, big storylines going in, and North America will win if we utilize the. I mean, T1 going helps NA, right? If Hanwha Life made it, less T1 fans would watch the games. And because we have more T1 fans, who not all T1 fans are Korean, by the way. They have a huge non-Korean following. They have a huge like Western following. And because of that, it's probably better because you'll have a little bit more viewership. And so I really want us to utilize that viewership and to utilize the fact that we'll have so many people watching and paying attention to it, even if it's just game highlights, even if they don't watch the main broadcast. If they're just watching highlights and then all of a sudden they're scrolling on their TikTok because TikTok knows that they're watching, T1 highlights. And all of a sudden you see like Boogie talking about the time where he was in the T1 facility and or talking about a specific T1 player that he played with an amateur or whatnot, or even just reacting to the game. As long as there's content, we just need, like I was saying before, there are 2 strategies. The strategy of like I'm going to use this piece of content to convert someone into being a fan, and then there's the other one where it's like I just want to be in front of as many people as possible, which is what Shopify is all about, right? Shopify Rebellion is a marketing arm for Shopify. Um, it's like, hey, we're gonna have this team. People are gonna watch us play. They're gonna be fans of the team. but because they're fans of the team, all of a sudden we're marketing to all these people who are watching that Shopify is a thing. And we're not telling you, hey, use this coupon for 15% off your next website. No, it's more like we exist. We know that a lot of people are making their own websites that didn't used to do it before. This is the reason. Like when you decide to do it, you're going to choose Shopify because studies have shown that exposure is a heavily determines what product you use. If you're exposed to a product and you're not exposed to a product, like let's say you have two sodas, one of them is Coca Cola, the other one is like Smolder. You've never seen it before in your life. You're going to pick Coca Cola, even if you've never tried either one. Man, that's basically my conclusion of ah, that's sort of the premise of how North America will win. I would love it for teams to do well. I just don't think it matters when it comes to building fanhood, especially for well, okay, it does matter, right? If you win, you're gonna get more fans. But you can also get fans while not winning. And that's something that teams understand, but they don't try to fully utilize. Um, Optic was a case where they made a lot of fans without winning, right? And then eventually they did win, but then they had a spiel of like a whole like 2 years where they didn't win, but they still had fans. And so I hope teams utilize this time. I don't have much faith in a lot of the teams. Like, do I think Immortals is going to be making content? Maybe a couple of posts here and there, but not really. Like, do I think NRG is going to be making a lot of content? I don't think so. I would love to be proven wrong. I don't think they're going to make zero content, but maybe they make some content. But at the end of the day, content is king. You need to have a good amount of content during this MSI. It's very important because NA is dying, and it looks like we're going to have to merge with whether it's all of South America or just Brazil, whatever it is. It's headed down the wrong direction. It's headed down a direction I don't want it to head down, and I think teams can avoid that from happening by building their own fan bases. Trust me, if Team Liquid had like 500,000 people just watching Team Liquid games and didn't care about the rest of the LCS teams because they had a very good, content creation strategy, Team Liquid would not be worried. Team Liquid would not be like, "Hey, we want to get rid of two teams because we think that'll condense talent, which would give less teams to people to care about, which means they care more about other." Like Team Liquid wouldn't care. Team Liquid would go to Riot and be like, "Hey, why are you paying everyone the same? Like we matter." Team Liquid would have more negotiation power because people care about Team Liquid and don't care about anyone else. Um, and then it would give other teams opportunities to learn from Team Liquid, right? If we had a team that really did content well, was content creators like Disguised, for example, I was really hoping people would learn from Disguised, but apparently not. Um, if you have a team that's showing you, like demonstrating, we're doing something right that you're not, I don't think other teams will copy them just because I live in this world and I see how people are like, will watch someone succeed and be like, oh, we don't know why he's succeeding. Like, oh, he succeeds because he's a content creator, but I'm going to succeed this way because this is the way I know how to succeed, even though it's stupid. I've seen it so often. Like the numbers are there to prove it, but people will not change their actions because of ego, because of stupidity, because of like a bunch of different things. But at the very least, we would have that and we'd have people calling for that. And maybe another team would try it and maybe a third team would try it because it's working. Um, and I don't want to see NA die. And so I don't want, I didn't, I mean, the title of this was like how NA will win. So I don't want to turn this into depressive like episode, but like NA is struggling. We've done so many different band-aids, but unless we are going to take our marketing serious, we're not going, like, we're going to crumble. Because we just don't have enough people that care because we're not in front of enough people. Like we don't post enough. Teams do not post enough to get people's attention. People, everybody's fighting for your attention nowadays. Like you go on TikTok, you go on YouTube, like there are thousands and thousands of people fighting for your attention every minute. And it's crazy to me to think that the teams have so much ego, so much audacity to think that they deserve your attention because they exist. No, you have to give me a reason. And not just today, not just tomorrow. You have to consistently give me reason for why I should be your fan. Because guess what? There are other people in different industries that are fighting for that attention, that are trying their best, that have CMOs, that have hired people who are experts at getting my attention. And if I'm going to have to choose to spend my money, I'm going to spend it there. I'm going to choose to buy this shirt because the person who the girl who's responsible for this art, she's so much more active. She streams, she publishes once a week. She has her own Discord channel that she's active on. She does so much to show herself on Twitter, on her Instagram, on her TikTok, on all this stuff that I care a lot more about her. That when she says she needs support, I bought the shirt, right? Because I first of all I care about the product that she's making. She's a webtoon creator. She makes a webtoon called Unordinary, and at the same time, like I don't see why I would buy a Team Liquid shirt, even though I was a fan for a very long time. First of all, I'm very stingy with that kind of stuff. I don't really buy very many things, so I'm not the best example. But like the fact that I actually went ahead and bought this shirt says something to me. It says that like you gave me a reason to care and buy it. Um, and like I'm a League of Legends fan. I care more about League of Legends than Unordinary. That's just a fact. But the fact that I bought Unordinary is because that she made me care more about spending my money there than for the Team Liquid Plus or for any of their merch drops or whatever. Like it just, I would probably care a lot more if I saw Team Liquid advertising, their merch with other YouTubers who are making anime content, right? Because they just had a collaboration with what's it called, with Death Note, and it's great that they're like marketing to people from Death Note, because Death Note fans might now care about Team Liquid. But at the end of the day, like you need to give me a reason to care, and you need to keep giving me reasons to care, and you need like that's just the world you live in, right? We live in 2024. It's the age of social media, and unless you're going to keep providing, you're just going to fade into nothingness. No one's going to care about you. No one's going to watch your team. No one's going to watch your games, and it's not going to matter anymore. And that's not what you want, because when people care about you, that's how you make your money. That's how you get your sponsors. That's the world we live in. And I really would be sad to hear next year that we don't have the LCS anymore, that we have a combined Americas League. I'm still going to watch, still going to create content, but it's going to suck. And I don't think it has to happen that way. So I think North America, this MSI and this world are so important for every single team involved, whether you make it or not to the international play. It's so important because you don't have as many opportunities to create fandom as you think you do, right? We don't know what's happening with the LCS next year. And if rumor is true, like there might not be just an LCS. There might be like a 12-team league with only 6 teams from the LCS. And we're going to lose 2 more teams, right? If you identify that there's a problem, which everyone has identified the problem, then there needs to be a solution. The solution can't be wait for Riot to do something. That is not a solution. The solution is not we're going to change the format and all of a sudden people are going to. That is not the solution. That might be part of the solution, but at the end of the day, you have to do what's in your power to bring more people to watch. And nowadays, the way you get people to watch is through social media, through content creation. And if you think that being content creators is silly, like what Steve said, that is ridiculous. You are like extremely ignorant of the world around you. You are living in the past. You cannot live in the past when the LCS is dying. You just cannot do it. All right, I think I said my speech. um, yeah, TLDR. Please make content teams about around MSI, during MSI, after MSI. Do it because you want people to care, not because you're going to make money tomorrow, not because people are going to buy your merch, but because people are going to watch you play. And when people watch you play, we can have a thriving ecosystem when people care about the teams that we want that are playing. Um, it's simple, it's obvious, but people don't do it. I don't understand it. I do somewhat. Like, I've talked to a lot of these people and try to understand what they're saying, and they have other priorities. I just think they're wrong. Like, you cannot have more priorities. You cannot consider yourself a business in 2024 that is trying to grow without considering yourself to be a social media agency at this, not agency, a marketing company. Like, you need to market yourself. You just need to. Ads are not going to do it anymore. Like, uh, on TV or commercials, it's just the world has changed. We need to acknowledge that, and we need to do what is working today, not what's going to work tomorrow. We shouldn't be on the metaverse or whatever it is, like, and we shouldn't be on TV and radio. We shouldn't have these mentalities and should just do what's working today. 이상입니다. All right. Hopefully that was obvious. I think I will call it a day. That. Aw. Thank you guys for hanging out. I know it was a relatively short stream. Actually, no, it was about an hour, which is longer than I thought. I always speak for very long. I can yap and yap and yap about this, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys will do something about it, whether it's like tweet at your favorite team to like make content or ask them about their players or whatnot. Um, yeah, get involved as a fan because God knows we need it. Normally, you shouldn't be the ones responsible, but uh, teams aren't taking responsibility. So, and yeah, I will see you guys later. I have a couple videos. First of all, shout outs. I have an interview that should come out tomorrow. Um, I with a C9 coach. I have another interview. I'm not entirely sure when it's coming out, and then I have a super long video that is like an experiment of some sorts that I'm working on right now. I'm finishing up. Maybe I could do this on no, I think I'll go off stream. Um, but yeah, I have a few videos that are coming up. I also have a hype video for MSI that I need to start working on, but I'm really trying to finish the video that I'm working on right now. It should be out by Tuesday, but I really need to finish it. And then let's see what else. I think I have another video hyping up Chovy. I will be releasing a trailer maybe Tuesday of that video on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok. So yeah, if you follow me here, you'll see it. If you follow me on TikTok, you'll see it. I'll probably put it up on Twitter as well. But yeah, look forward to that. Um, Hopefully by the time I post it, well, the finals are going to happen anyways, but hopefully Chovy will be first seed, so that the trailer is like cooler. But yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to be T1. So yeah, those are like 5 videos that I have in the next coming like 2 weeks before MSI. So there's like two long form interviews, a really long video, which is like going to be about the spring split that just passed. It'll be like a mini movie, and then there's going to be a FlyQuest type video, and a Chovy like mini movie. It'll be not a movie, but like a trailer kind of thing. So I got a bunch of content lined up. I'm also reaching out to other people to see if I can do some other stuff. The reason the Chovy thing isn't out yet is because I've been trying to find an LCK caster to help me with it. So far, I've contacted almost everyone. There's one more LCK caster that I can contact. I will contact him after I'm done with the stream. But yeah, it would be very nice to have someone from LCK talk about Chovy. But if not, I'll just do it myself. I might do it in Korean or a little bit in Korean. Just because I mean Chovy's Korean, right? I think that's it for April. There's a lot of stuff. Hopefully I can do all of them. I was a little bit sick and that kind of dragged on. Like the mini movie, I wanted it to be out yesterday, but it's not out yet. So there's that. And I'm gonna try to see if I can get one more interview, but it probably will come out when MSI has already started. And then when MSI starts, I don't know what my schedule is gonna be like, but hopefully I will be able to be up for some of the games to do post game interviews. I need to talk to Riot about that to see whether we're gonna have online remote interviews or not. But yeah, that's everything. Yeah, that's everything I got. 5 videos hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks. All right, adios, guys.